Good morning, everybody. So, this is for, I'm hoping this mic is working. I haven't had luck with it working with the TikTok Talk app. Anyway, so this is for all the Anne Rice lovers out there. So, I know there are a few of you who um, follow me that are also fans of Anne Rice. So, just looking for takes on the new series. So, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it yet. I don't know that I'll give anything away, but I I like it. It's very different from the book. But well, this is Interview with the Vampire I'm talking about because there's a couple of series. They got the Mayfair Witches out there. But anyways, Interview with the Vampire. So it is quite a bit different from the original book, but I like it, and I think they do a good essence of keeping the themes and um, the quandaries of the individual characters, even though they changed the characters around a bit. The guy who plays Lestat, I can't remember what his name is now. He does, I think, an absolutely fantastic job of playing Lestat. And not that Tom Cruise's was like horrible or anything. I thought his portrayal of Lestat was good for Interview with the Vampire. Like, I'm not sure how he would have done with anything else. I know he didn't want to do anything else because everybody was teasing him that he was gay. Oh, um, so that was the '90s. So I don't know. I guess it was still kind of okay to do that kind of thing. So yeah, and I mean, Lestat is like he's a people lover. He's not gay or whatever. He loves everybody, and that's how he was before he was made a vampire. And a lot of Anne Rice's vampires are like that. She was really big into the gay rights movement and stuff. I think Interview with the Vampire came out in the late '70s, and that was her first book that she had. I believe it was her first book that she had written and published. Um, and Interview with the Vampire was not my favorite book out of the series, that's for sure. It was just kind of slow, and she was getting into her writing, so I feel like, um, which is normal for writers. Like, normally, your first book is not going to be your best work because you learn more about writing as you go. And the book was just really kind of slow and boring. And so there are parts of the TV show that are kind of like that. So it's true to the book like that as well. But I don't mind it so much in the TV show. I honestly, I could not read Interview with the Vampire. I kept trying and kept trying. And it was just like, I kept being like, okay, I just read 50 pages and I have no idea what I read. And that's just kind of how my brain is. It has to be very fast paced, or I have to be like really emotionally invested in it if it's not fast paced. But she does a lot of different, she intertwines a lot of different storylines in her books. And if you've read any of her series, you know that, as you read the other books, you find out, oh yeah, okay, that was like a little foreshadowing to this or that. So I always love that about her writing style. Um, but yeah, so the guy who plays Lestat, just absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, physically, he is to the T, like how she describes Lestat as well, much more than Tom Cruise was. Like, he was, pretty and everything like that, but Lestat is like supposed to be pretty much not that gorgeous, like perfect little specimen of a man with the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and that is very much how this actor is. Louis, I don't necessarily mind the changes of Louis. His backstory is much different, which makes sense because they have a black man portraying him. Um, so they had to change that around because obviously a black man was not going to be a plantation owner. But I thought they did a pretty good job of keeping that essence, but his story of hurt is not the same. And so that, like, kind of messes with the whole Louis character. Um, but he does do a great job of portraying Louis' emotions and everything, I think. What they have going on in the modern day, like, you know, he's telling the story and whatnot, that's so much different than the books, that, it's like you can't compare it, like, because none of that, they have, like, their whole little storylines going on with that aspect. I like how they brought Armand in, um, to this one as well. And Armand, the guy who plays Armand, I think he does a really excellent job as well. Um, Armand, he's one of those characters that you can kind of love to hate. And I think he does a good job of like walking that line. Um, he's much older than Armand was. I mean, so was Antonio Banderas, was way, way older, because I think in the books, Armand is like 14 or so when he was made. Um, but for storytelling purposes, a lot of times, they change the ages for the movies, and just for kids' rights, they don't want actors, little kids. There's some things that's not appropriate for them to portray. So, that's, I get that. And that was like a whole thing with Claudia. And it was funny because everybody complained when the first interview with the vampire movie came out about how Claudia was too old because she was supposed to be like 6 or 7. Like, she's supposed to be a really young girl. And I think they had her like, I think she was more like around 10 or 11 ish in the first movie. And this one, she's like 15, 16. So she can kind of pass as like a young adult. But she hasn't like, quite hit puberty yet. So she's still kind of stuck in that adolescence. So they keep that aspect. But I don't know. So that's weird because, that's a big thing with why Claudia has issues, because she was made as a child. And I think making a teenager is different, like as you see with like Armand was a teenager as compared to a child. But anyway, so any of that's here nor there. So interested in hearing what anybody else's thoughts on the show are. Um, yeah, I just really love that Lestat character. That actor, he does such a great job, and I'm gonna have like dreams about that Lestat now, I'm sure. All right, everybody. Peace, love, and vampires. Meow.